Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. I have the privilege of speaking with the co-founder, Vishaal Virani, and he is the co-founder of the Doctorpreneur, the Doctorpreneur global community for medical practices and for medical professionals. Mm-hmm. Now, as you've heard in the bio, he's been up to a lot. He's a very active individual with a lot of great accomplishments. We want to get into a little bit of the background on what brought you to where you're at. Wanted just to ask first a question that I'm always interested in knowing is, when you look back in time, Vishaal, when you're about 7 or 8, what did you, where did you see yourself, when you were a quote unquote grown up?
I suppose quite a stereotypical answer for a guy. Not actually a footballer, but it was a cricketer. So,
yeah. Is that so?
Yeah. I think I was pretty into one or two cricketers back then. So, I wanted to be sort of a fast bowler back when I was 7.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. And your parents get you into that, or did you just join a league when? How did you get into that?
The school was great because I was at a school where we had some really nice cricket fields. So it was
really?
Like an indoor thing, in which it is in some places, but actually we went out to the net. We had access to the nets and cricket pitches and things. And we had a good network of schools that we were allowed to play with. So actually, I think a school was a great asset. And it's always one of these things where there's someone at school in terms of a mentor who sort of guides you along and takes you to his local club. And then I joined his local club and started playing on the weekends with him. So, it then went into more of a weekend activity as well. So I suppose one thing led to another. But yeah, it was good fun. Don't play anymore, but there we go.
You don't play anymore?
No, unfortunately, really it's partly a time thing. It sort of knocks out the whole day, so I'm not sort of very happy. And injuries-wise, it's just more difficult now to be. It's hard to be a fast bowler when you get a bit older, like myself. So
right. Well, you look very healthy and sound very, very active. I can relate. I love racquetball. And sometimes to really be competitive with racquetball, it takes a lot with the knees. So I can understand, as your joints.
So I know what you mean. It's tough sport.
So as you grew, give us a little glimpse into your background in terms of how you started out professionally.
Sure. So I started, in the days when I wanted to be a cricketer, then quickly moved on to medical school at UCL, so University College London, which is based in Central. So I was there for 6 years. So in the UK, it's sort of an undergraduate process, which is quite nice. So we do 5 years medical degree, then spent a year doing an international health degree, and then spent a couple of years working in the NHS as a doctor. So the way it works here is we have 4 monthly rotations in different specialties, which is a really nice way to see the different specialties that you may or may not like. Turns out I didn't really enjoy any of them that much. So started looking at other things, and sort of that was 2 years in. And then came across consulting on a website, business consulting website. I think I was on I can't remember, one of the big consultancy firms' websites, and I thought, well, this sounds quite interesting, and I think it would be more intellectually, stimulating and more creative. So why not give it a go? So joined a small healthcare consultancy called Mansfield Advisors, and I was there for just over 2 years, and that was focused on private hospital groups, caring groups, med tech, and then stayed in consulting at OC&C, which was more retail and consumer goods, and then sort of along this journey came across Doctorpreneurs and was initially sort of member of Doctorpreneurs 1.0, and then helped to reignite the sort of Doctorpreneurs 2.0, we like to call it, which is a slightly different beast. And that's how I sort of got involved with Doctorpreneurs about 3.5 years ago. So I suppose that, there is the day job, and then there's a lot of focus on Doctorpreneurs outside the day job at the moment for myself. So.
Now we'll get into more of the 2.0 Doctorpreneur. I'm interested to know what really inspired you to go the medical route.
So I suppose that it sounds quite cliched, but the thing in the UK is that you make that decision when you're 17 years old. So I think it's a slightly different decision to what it might be in the US. You're perhaps a little bit more mature and developed in your thinking. But my idea really was I wanted to help people, and that's what it came down to when I was 17. So it wasn't an elaborate meshwork of different things like, it's really interesting and I get to help, I get to treat people or whatever. Really, I just wanted to help people, and so that was what I went in with, I suppose. And there is an element of that for sure. And obviously, there's a few other things which I liked about medicine as well, but that was probably the biggest one.
And what are some of the specialties that you've participated in your profession?
So I did 4 months of different things. So I did surgery for 4 months, general surgery.
Okay.
Then I did some general medicine, so with a focus on diabetes medicine, and then did 4 months in care of the elderly, which is a specialty. I think that care of the elderly, geriatrics, is really, I think it was born in the UK as a specialty. It's become a really big specialty now, but I think
how's that?
I'm not necessarily sure it's a big specialty everywhere or recognised specialty. But I'm going to spend 4 months doing that. And then 4 months in A&E, 4 months in GP, and then 4 months again in general medicine. So quite a few different things. Okay.
And so over time, you came across the consulting field where, I love that you said that it seemed like more of a creative platform for you.
Yeah. I guess for me with medicine, I loved the talking to patients bit and the problem solving. Yeah. Sometimes I felt that it was quite protocol driven, and you were not, quite rightly, I suppose, you were not at liberty to think up interesting different solutions to a patient's problem. There was the solution to the problem, which the evidence suggests is the right way to do things. I think what I liked when I read about consulting was that actually there is no one right answer, and you work as a team to work through you have an answer and then you run with it and see if it is true or not. And you do use evidence to try and back up your hypothesis. In that sense, it's quite a lot like medicine, but 3 people can come up with 3 different answers and still be correct to a business problem, which is not really the case in medicine. And I think that
yeah. So just thinking on that, I suppose that probably the reason that the medicine, with all the protocols and maybe it lacks a little bit of creativity just because people are always so worried about, all the litigation types of things that can surface if you go outside of protocol. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, exactly. Which is fair enough. But yes, that is the nature of the profession, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, talk to me a little bit about, why you're here today, what the Doctorpreneur is all about, and your role in helping this organization grow.
Yeah, sure. So Doctorpreneurs started about 5 years ago, and there was a lady called Claire Novarot who started it. She was a doctor at the time who was doing a PhD, very interested in starting her own business, but realized there were no resources out there for doctors wanting to do that type of thing. It was effectively not really advocated or approved of. Everyone was of the opinion, if you're a doctor, you must practice medicine, not really mess around with startups. So she started up Doctorpreneurs as a sort of resource for those doctors who wanted somewhere to go to feel like they could start up a business of their own, to get confidence, meet other people doing the same thing. And she started a website and also sort of an interview, a series of networking events. So she went to the doctors. And I was a sort of key member and attended a few of the events. This was probably about 4 or 5 years ago when I was starting to get interested in the confluence between medicine and business. And it basically got to be too much work for her. She was a one-man band. I suppose didn't really bring anyone else along with her as a sort of on an organizational level, and then got very involved with her own startup, and as a result stopped Doctorpreneurs. And at that point there was myself and a couple of other key members who sort of reached out to Claire and we were like, well, what's happened to Doctorpreneurs? We really like what we were doing and we want to get more events. And she was like, well, if you really like it, why don't you restart it? I don't have the time. So we're like, okay, that's not the response we're expecting. That sort of sounds like it could be a bit of work, but why don't we, we all met up, the three of us, and Claire also came along. We thrashed it out for probably about 6 months, 8 months. And we initially thought, is there a way of reincarnating Doctorpreneurs as a sort of, scale up revenue generating business idea, which would allow us to all drop our full-time jobs and go for it like a really accelerating startup. And we thrashed around lots of different ideas, couldn't quite figure out the one idea that would really do that for us. But we thought, instead of continuing to think of this magic or golden bullet idea, why don't we just restart Doctorpreneurs as a website which provides resources to other doctors and see what the response is, see if other people like what we're doing, see if partners come along and want to help us out, and take it from there. Effectively, that's what we did. We all stuck with our day jobs. At that time, I think we were all still doctors. And now a few of us are and a few of us are not. There's different things, like Avi is now working with IBM Watson. Nick is still a doctor. And Claire is working on her own startup called Ada Health, which has actually been launched in the US recently. So it's ADA. That's an interesting symptom checker. It's a chatbot symptom checker, which is on the App Store. So, we're all working on different things now. But basically, that's how Doctorpreneurs 2.0 sort of reincarnated.
I see.
Started as a website. And there's a few different, I would say probably 3 key things that we focus on. I'm happy to go into detail on those. I want to back up real quick. Yeah.
A lot of doctors we talk to don't necessarily see themselves as entrepreneurs. Would you agree with that?
Yes. I mean, I think that the vast majority, to be honest, I don't think the majority of doctors even understand what entrepreneurship is about. I think there's a lot of doctors who've never met another entrepreneur.
Right.
They often are from families full of doctors. Most of their friends may be doctors from pre-med and then from medical school.
Yeah. Right.
They may not even have many friends who are out in the business world, even if they're in a corporate business world. So there's a lot of doctors out there who don't have a feel for business, from my understanding, comes from a real desire to solve a problem that they see in their day-to-day practice. And I guess fundamentally that is what an entrepreneur is. I think other people try to overcomplicate what an entrepreneur is about. But for me, it's just someone who sees a problem in their day-to-day lives, thinks that they can actually solve that problem in such a way that other people will follow them with the solution. And I mean, if you think about it like that, doctors are extremely well placed to become entrepreneurs because
absolutely,
a lot of problems day to day. I don't think that any health system in the world is fully functional.
So when somebody comes to, unpack a little bit more of what the Doctorpreneur website. If a doctor in the U.S. was to go to the Doctorpreneur website, what would they be looking for?
So it is the go-to resource if you are a doctor in the early stages of your entrepreneurial journey. It will provide, there's 3 different things that we offer. The website itself offers a heck of a lot of content for doctors that are interested in entrepreneurship. So we have interviews with successful doctors and entrepreneurs. That serves as an inspiration and provides role models for other doctors. I think when you read about a doctor who's really made it, someone like Sean Duffy from Mother Health that we've interviewed, we've got Joshua Landy from Figure One. Those are a couple of the North American doctor examples we've got. These are guys with really big startups now, and one day many years ago, they were simply a doctor with an idea. So I think that provides a lot of inspiration. We've got the blog where there are doctors who have articulated their startup journey, the challenges, the successes, the failures. That honest assessment of their journey, I think, is really helpful for doctors when they go on our website. And then we also have the job opportunities section, which is growing and is very exciting, where startups are able to list part-time and full-time opportunities for doctors and medical students that are interested in working at a startup. And really? New US-based startups actually post jobs on there in the last few months. And I think that's something which is a very exciting area for us. And we've certainly heard of a lot of career change stories with doctors who are looking for something else, and they've come across our website, come across an opportunity on our platform, and they've applied and they've had the job offer, and I think it's been very exciting for them.
Vishaal, I'm curious. I think doctors listening to this would be curious to learn about what some of the typical entrepreneurial ventures are, because as I've talked with a lot of doctors, they think, well, okay, I have my private practice and I want to scale it into multiple practices, maybe create a franchise, and I think that's kind of a traditional. Talk us through some of the entrepreneurial ventures that you learn about with some of these doctors.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really key point that you've raised, that traditionally where doctors became entrepreneurs, it was in terms of doing their core work as a practitioner. So
right.
Can you give me 1 second? I'm just going to...
Of course.
Sorry.
Well, this brings us to the end of another great episode of The Doctor Entrepreneur. We hope you've taken notes and learned several ways of helping you have more time to provide superior patient care as you outsource and delegate tasks to healthcare services and to staff. Also, certainly, being that this was an interview with the Doctorpreneurs, global community for medical entrepreneurs, certainly that implies that you may have taken notes that can help you as you scale your business and as you desire to extend your reach into things like medical devices, becoming an author, becoming a consultant, developing a series of videos and training. There are a number of different things, and the Doctorpreneurs global community is definitely the place to start. If you would like to be on this show or have any questions you'd like answered by our guest Vishaal Virani, then email podcasthcsi@gmail.com. And again, I hope you found a lot of value in this episode. You'll notice the interview was a little bit shorter after the phone rang. That was about all the time that we had with Vishaal. He's a busy guy, and you can admire him for that. Now, you can check out the show notes at hcsi.blogspot.com. Just simply type Doctorpreneur, that's DOCTORPRENEURS, and to find the Doctorpreneurs website, it's just doctorpreneurs.com. We would really appreciate with this episode if you just take a minute to quickly rate this podcast if it's been valuable for you, and if you'd like to continue to see these types of podcasts in the future. Today's show has been brought to you by Healthcare Compliance Solutions, Inc., the online compliance solution for OSHA, HIPAA, Medicare, and or employment law for small to mid-sized practices and for business associates. And you can learn more about us by contacting our support team at support@hcsiinc.com. Let us know that you heard about the podcast and you heard about us through the podcast. Or you can just go to the website at hcsiinc.com. I'm Lance King. I've been your host today, and we'll be back to explore another great healthcare service in another great episode next week. Remember to connect with me on LinkedIn for the 12-week webinar series every Friday at 2 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. If you have any questions or want to know about the recordings afterward, or if you have any compliance questions you'd like answered by our company, email podcasthcsi@gmail.com. Well, look forward to connecting again soon and make it a great day providing superior patient care to your community.